It is a true pleasure for me to be able to introduce to you today Professor Emmanuel Falk, who is Honorary Chair and founding member of the International Network in Philosophy of Religion and Professor in the Faculty of Philosophy of the Catholic University of Paris. His by now quite substantial body of work is not only highly innovative, but also extremely original, drawing on his expertise in medieval philosophy, phenomenology, and philosophy of religion. Personally, I'd been aware of Professor Falk's work for a while, particularly because of some very sharp essays he wrote on contemporary phenomenology, which I believe have now been collected in a book that has recently been translated as The Loving Struggle, Phenomenological and Theological Disputes. It was, however, early last year when I attended a conference where Professor Falk gave a keynote that was not only very interesting, but also extremely entertaining. And it's after kind of returning from that conference that I kind of delved deeper into Professor Falk's work. And what I found there was not only very similar to ideas that seem important to Professor Nancy's work, but also expresses it in very different language, coming from an approach that is Catholic and at times phenomenological. Particularly in relation to Nancy, of interest are his final two volumes of his philosophical triptych, The Metamorphosis of Finitude and The Wedding Feast of the Lamb. The final volume of that triptych has recently been translated as well as The Guide to Gethsemane. In fact, when I kind of delved into his work further, I was so impressed by it that I felt I kind of needed to reconfigure my entire doctoral project to be able to engage with it properly, which I imagine came as quite a surprise to my supervisor at the time, but I believe he's come round to it by now. Professor Falk's most recent book, published in French last year as Éthique du corps répandu, or Ethics of the Spread Body, further develops his concept of the spread body, which he'll be discussing today in relation to Professor Nancy's idea of the exposed body. If you could all join me in welcoming Professor Emmanuel Falk.
So thanks to Nicolas, to Mary, to have invited me here in Oxford. It's a pleasure for me to be here and to speak with Jean-Luc. We spoke many times by Skype. It was during a conference in Rome and so on. We met sometimes, but it is the first time that we are speaking together live haptic, en chair et en os. So that is good. When Nicolas suggested me to come to give a lecture on Nancy's work, I immediately thought about his work, Corpus, and I tried to compare what he did in that book and a small book I just published, Ethics of the Spread Body. And after you have the text of my wife, so it's not so easy to write a book with my wife, but we did it. And it is le chair répandue sur le divan, the flesh spread on the couch. Well, she's a psychoanalyst. So I try to compare those two books and the experience which are in those two books and our two perspectives about the question of body. And I just want to finish this introduction just to say that I discovered that I am so close from the Jean-Luc's work, but on the other side, because of course I am a Christian, and I said I'm a Christian, and he explained that he's atheist, but we are speaking about the same things. So what does it mean to speak about the same things if the 2 points of view are completely diverse? Because I will show that we are speaking both about hoc est corpus meum, this is my body, and I wrote a book about the Eucharist, which is the wedding feast of the Lamb, and in my book there is a chapter which is this is my body. And I quote Jean-Luc at the beginning of my book. It's very important at the beginning about the matter of culture, I will explain it, and why his approach of Christianity is so important for me in Christianity itself. Not only for the other people, but in Christianity itself. Okay. And I think that my position is absolutely not the same as many philosophers in the French theological term. It doesn't mean that I am against, but I change, and perhaps now I gave a course just this year on Karl Marx, I just wrote a book on Freud, I gave a seminar on Deleuze, so Many people are saying, what he's doing now? I'm doing something else, but I don't know really what I'm doing, and that is better. So I will read only the introduction of my text, and then I will comment. Two small books, light in their weight, but heavy in their common gravity. So, and thanks for the translation, of course.
Thank you.
He did a very good work with Maria. I read it. Confront one another. Corpus, Jean-Luc Nancy, and Ethics of the Spread Body. Both, written more than 20 years apart from one another, put an experience into language. The former, Corpus, precede the author's own arresting experience of the transplanted art, related in The Intruder, and attempts to speak, I quote, starting from the body. The later, Ethics of the Spread Body, comes after an experience in palliative care, this time not from the side of the patient, but the team of carers. So it means that I have an experience in palliative care, in a team with carers, and I wrote that book from this experience. Of course, it's absolutely not the same as Jean-Luc experience about The Intruder, but it is a medical experience too, organic experience. There is something in common. Better still, the concept of the spread body, which first appeared in The Wedding Feast of the Lamb, originates from a corporal and medical experience in the world of surgery and anesthesia as well. Because I assist to anesthesia, surgery, and so on. In short, there is something that intersects, if not meets, in experience that are certainly different, but that both try to speak of our true corporality underneath the abstraction of the lived experience of the flesh or the almost body, corps propre, life, that phenomenology never ceases to deploy, while the materiality of the body, corpor, in diseases or sickness, at least cannot be forgotten. So, I saw that in Jean-Luc's work there is a sort of attacks in front of the flesh or the almost body, and I am in the same way. And also an attacks in front of the virtual body, of the representative body, and I did something which is almost the same. Then I don't think that what I'm saying about the spirit body is exactly what you are saying about the exposed body, and I will try to show also the difference. As is the case, and an identical reaction or an identical leap in the opening of Corpus and Ethics of the Spirit Body, I read the starting of Corpus. Hoc est enim corpus, this is indeed a body. Instantly, always, it is a foreign body that demonstrates itself, a monster impossible to swallow, and all thoughts of the almost body, laborious effort at reappropriating what we used to consider impatiently as objectified or reified. All such thoughts about the almost body are commonly comforted. They amount only the expulsion of what we desire. So, when we are speaking about the flesh, the lived body, in fact, we are not really speaking about the body. It is what I understood. And me, something which is very close from what Jean-Luc said at the beginning of Ethics of the Spirit Body. I read, so my book, the human body always remains animal. So, but I think the question of the biological body is not the same between the two books. But the human body always remains animal, even manipulable in the medical context, as a clinical or reclining body, le corps couché, on the hospital bed more than anywhere else. However, whereas we once feared the positivism of the body object, we will today rather, or by way of a backlash, fear the excess of concern taken in or attention paid to the body's subject, for by dint of holding on the carnal lived experience of the patient, Leiblichkeit, we have nevertheless forgotten their bodily mass, Körperlichkeit. So I explained that when I came in a center of palliative care, I saw bodies, animal bodies, human bodies as animal bodies, even if they are not only animals. And I saw that in the service, everyone was speaking about meaning, signification, interpretation, the story of the patient, and so on. So many, many meanings, because in fact there were all the doctors were reading Paul Ricoeur. So Paul Ricoeur is a very good one. But of course, the influence of Paul Ricoeur in palliative care, in medicine, is the fact that there is always sense, always meaning. And that is what I didn't know that. I saw that there is no meaning, and you can say to a family, your wife or your husband will die, but you have to welcome him. You can't welcome sometimes. So that is a shock of the body. So an identical aim itself double, thus innervate two works, corpus and ethics of the spirit body. The first identical aim is what I call I am my body, but in a very special sense. First aim, not or no longer remaining stuck in the singular repetition of the body subject, the onmost body, for by dint of saying I am my body, je suis mon corps, in contemporary phenomenology especially, I do not know, or rather, I end up forgetting that one day my body will get me. En français, à force de dire je suis mon corps, j'oublie que j'ai un corps et qu'un jour mon corps m'aura, dans la maladie ou la souffrance. So, it's not enough to say I am my body, we are saying I am my body, but if you are sick, you don't be your body, you are the body. And you have experience, perhaps, of your body as an object. That's exactly what I want to say. I can have an experience of my body as an object, and not only as a subject. And I think I can find something which is close from what Jean-Luc Nancy is saying about the exposed body and my stranger body, mon corps étranger. The experience of disease, sickness, or even more, so that of the reception of a foreign absolute on oneself, the intruder of the transplanted heart, certainly suffice to make evident and to make known that, alors, I perhaps follow my body. Je suis peut-être mon corps. However, one then understand it here in a way that is surely strange, even in French, where I work, even I run after my body, following my body, for it goes its own way. Suis of the verb suivre, to follow. So, what is it about? It is a game of words in French. In fact, I was in course 2 months ago, and I said, I am my body, but I follow my body. Je suis mon corps, et je cours après mon corps. I'm running. I said, oh my God, I never thought about it. I follow my body. Then a student came in my office. The next week said, I want to do a PhD on that subject. I said, I know it's not a good subject for a PhD. And I never wrote about it, but because on your book you are working on the words, I think that when I'm speaking with Jean-Luc Nancy, I can do that. I follow my body. Je suis mon corps. Je cours après mon corps. Hein? So, I suis on the verb of suivre, to follow, for it is not fit, habitable, for the way of understanding in which it will be my dwelling place. Suis of the verb être, to be. I have a body, of course, or rather, I follow, je suis, it, more so because it governs and precedes me, suivre, to follow, rather than it will be the appropriate place for my lived experience in need of hospitality, être, to be. So, the first aim, je suis mon corps, mais en quel sens? Second one, the question of the culture, which is a very important one for me, of course, because I'm working in the Christian tradition, and the Jean-Luc Nancy work is working too on the Christian tradition. So the second aim, which is the same one, but completely different, because the point of departure are the same, the point of arriving are completely different. to return to Christianity as particular determination of the body, according to an urgency that is first of all cultural. Whatever may be the decors of the single carnal lived experience, the proper, of the invasion of the virtual, the projected. So, what did Christianity? Christianity, deconstructed or not, that is not yet a question, I will speak about it, established itself on a single word that makes of corporality even its objectivation or its this, ceci, the source of the West in all its articulation. So, I quote the very well-known, I think, beginning of Corpus, hoc est corpus meum. We come from a culture where this code phrase will have been twisted, uttered by millions of people, officiating in millions of rites. Everyone in this culture, it is quoted in the Wedding Feast of the Lamb, this passage. Everyone in this culture, Christian or otherwise, recognize it. Everyone. Not believers, everyone said. It is our mani padme, our Allah il Allah, our Shema Israel. In the same way, and from my own perspective this time, even if the Christian, as Jean-Luc Nancy says, gives to this word, this is my body, the value of a real consecration, God's body is there, what I believe, I can say you don't believe, I believe, and we can discuss, but what I believe, but it is believable and not only credible, I will explain. The issue at stake in philosophy, but also in theology of today, is to envisage the meaning, including the cultural one. And that is the important point. And that is why, even if we are believers, or because we are believers, we have to read Nancy. Because he understood that Christianity is first a cultural question. And the fact that Christianity is a cultural question is a question for Christianity itself. Because if we don't use the words of culture, Christianity will finish. Or perhaps many people said, okay, but it's perfect if it will finish. But because you are always speaking about the end of Christianity, you are always speaking about Christianity. So thanks, you have to continue to speak about the end of Christianity, because the Christianity is always alive because you are speaking about the end of Christianity. And it is a proof that Christianity is not finished, or not completely finished in the culture. But if nobody will speak about Christianity, it will be very complicated for God himself to speak to the people, because he has not any words to speak. God spoke to Saul because Saul knew him because he was persecuted God. So without the words of the body, recognition in the language, the God become body could today neither articulate nor give himself to man. If the hoc et corpus meus, this is my body, no longer makes sense in our time, and that is a question I will ask Jean-Luc, because it is only a sentence of the past. That is my biggest question. This is my body, it is a word for the past? Or is it possible to say, this is my body? When I say this is my body, is it only representation? Is it only objectivation? I will show that it is not sure, because in a bracket you say that it is transubstantiation, but the transubstantiation without any true body. I think, I know you know exactly what is transubstantiation in Christianity. So, no longer makes sense in our time. It is not certain that Christianity can still inhabit our culture unless it fastly set itself up as counterculture. The danger of Christianity is to become a counterculture. So I am absolutely convinced of that. That's why I think that Christianity and Catholicism has to understand and to speak with the culture, to not be a counterculture. So first point, so now I recommend, first point, a matter of culture. So why is it important to read Nancy today, even if we are Christian? Because Christianity is not only a question of certitude, even if the certitude is negative or positive. I don't have anything, but perhaps many people can understand what I said. But it is a matter of culture. It means that Christianity is a vision for all and not a privilege for oneself. It means that in phenomenology, as in theology, you don't have on one part the people who see something and the people who see nothing. But the beginning of philosophy and the beginning of theology, that's why I wrote in Crossing the Rubicon, more we theologize, more we philosophize. The beginning is to have something in common, which is a Nancy's expression, or to have a community of being, which is a Merleau-Ponty expression. And in that way, I think that we can't continue to separate the order of the flesh, the order of spirit, of the order of charity, and the separation of the order in Pascal, in fact, is not only a separation, because I think it is a biblical schema of anticipation with the two testaments, and not a separation. So, we have to find a sort of recouvrement between philosophy and theology, and in that way, we have to say that Christianity is not only believable, croyable, but credible, credible. I read a passage of the Wedding Feast of the Lamb, arriving thus, and certainly at some form of confessionalism, Christianity is also a matter of culture, which is an expression of Jean-Luc. We had better take care, however, that the hoc est corpus meum is not slowly the domain of Christianity. Because it is the domain of culture and the Welsh culture, you said. That is not only Christianity, because all the Welsh culture is not Christianity, of course. As I said, the Eucharist dogma is not only believable by giving faith, but also credible with an universalism rationality in which the present works maintain the pretension of addressing itself to all. And that's why there are many people, it was surprising for me, but now it's obvious. Many people are reading my books and they are absolutely not Christian. And for me it is so important. And I don't ask to anyone to become a Christian. Absolutely not. You do what you want. I don't want. But we have something in common, which is a question of culture. And we have to think, what does it mean? So, in that way, we have to be careful, because when a Christian, a believer, I am one, I said I am one, you can see, I never said I'm a Christian, nothing is hidden. I am Catholic, but I was in a ecumenic community, so I work with Protestant, Orthodox, no problem, but I am believer, I am. But it's possible for me to speak for my believing, as it is possible for Jean-Luc to speak in for his atheism. Why not? I can be so clear as he is or as you are. The essential point is to be clear, not to see something because I am in the Sorbonne, I can speak about faith. No. That I'm not in the Sorbonne, I am the Catholic Institute of Paris, and I'm not obliged to speak about faith. I am a human being first, as everyone. So, what I appreciate in your work, Jean-Luc, is the fact that your work is never an attack against Christianity. Never. And even it's not like Martin Heidegger, because in fact in Martin Heidegger you have many attacks against Christianity with the sacred and so on. So nothing is hidden in his work. Nothing is hidden in my work. He is so clear as I am, or perhaps he's more clear than me. Then, we have to be careful because Jean-Luc Nancy is speaking outside of Christianity. He's saying that it's an extra Christianity, and speaking inside of Christianity. And we don't have, far from recuperating Christianity or being recuperated by Christianity, Jean-Luc Nancy's thinking must remain thus an outside of Christianity that certainly enters the cultural ground of Christianity. So, I don't want to recuperate his work, said, thanks for your work, this is so good for Christianity. It's not, I am, but we can be in dialogue. And that's why the dialogue is rich. And I just add that the question of the deconstruction of Christianity is absolutely not against Christianity, because deconstruction is included in Christianity itself. So it's not if it is outside of Christianity, it's not a combat against Christianity. In fact, the thesis of Jean-Luc Nancy rejoined is close from one of my chapters in the Metamorphosis of Finitude, which is entitled, Is There a Drama of Atheist Humanism? And my response in that chapter is to say no. No. So when I say no, of course you can say, so you are against Henri de Lubac, who wrote the book in 1950, The Drama of Atheist Humanism. I don't say that I'm against Henri de Lubac, and the Catholic Church, you can't be against Henri de Lubac. But I just say that time changed. Time had changed. It means that what Henri de Lubac did in his time, in 1950, when he said, we have to discuss with the nihilism of Nietzsche, we have to discuss with the communism of Marx, we have to discuss with the positivism of Auguste Comte, he said, because we have to have a discussion to confront the credibility of Christianity in front of this culture. But it is always a drama. It is a sort of contra gentiles, as Thomas Aquinas. I mean, it's okay, I have to understand, but you are not in the right way. So I will not say that now, and my position is in fact the position of Maurice Merleau-Ponty. During this lesson he gave at the Collège de France, the inaugural lesson, the praise of philosophy, where he said, all non-theism is not necessarily an atheism or an antitheism. He had, one misses the point of philosophy when one defines it as atheism. This is a philosophy as it is seen by the theologian. The drama of Christianity today is that the believers, if you meet a believer, said, so you're speaking about God, but it should be so good if you could meet him. I mean, you lack something. At the beginning of my book on Freud, I said it is exactly the same with the psychanalyst. My wife is a psychanalyst, my mother too, but so I said I didn't, until now, I didn't do any psychoanalysis. But I said, as Paul Ricoeur at the beginning of his book on Freud, that there is a sort of terrorism of experience in psychoanalysis as in theology. It means, so I'm speaking about Freud, but if you do psychoanalysis, you will see what will happen to you. You see that? It means that you are sure that you have the own way and that the other one has to become like you. It is in theology, it is in psychoanalysis, and it is the same in phenomenology. In phenomenology, there are the people who see something and the people who see nothing. You see nothing. It's a shame for you. You're not a good phenomenologist. You see this way? So it means that it is not a dialogic position. So, at the end rest, I think that in my work and Jean-Luc Nancy's work, we have a common, a theoretical point of departure, a common pedestal, what I call l'homme tout court, which is the question of the credibility of Christianity, even if the end is not the same. And where is the place of this credibility of Christianity? In one sentence, this is my body. So the question is, what is the body when I say this is my body? And then it is only a body which is an object, a representation. In that way, I say, okay, I understand, but I can't believe it anymore. I can't go to the Mass anymore. Huh? Or is it also something else? It is a question. So, second point, after the matter of culture, the strange body or the stranger body, perhaps the stranger body or the foreign body. So, in my way, and I think it is exactly the same in Jean-Luc Nancy's work, and I think it is what you said when you have an interview in Télérama, a very strong, I never thought that it was a very personal interview, and I saw that you change all your manner to think when you know that you have to receive a transplantation of the heart. You said I gave a lecture in US, but in fact I was speaking on the body, and now I understood that I was speaking from the body. So something changed. And we have to learn something, because I think that first there is a sort of shock of the body. And this shock of the body is against meaning or signification in phenomenology and against interpretation in hermeneutics. Because of the shock of the body, for example, in the case of palliative care, in the case of an operation, of sickness, and so on. Because of this shock, you can't speak anymore about your own body or flesh. You have perhaps to speak about the true body or spirit body, you see. And then, it is the end of phenomenology and hermeneutics, because it is the end of the a priori of manifestation and the a priori of interpretation. I quote just a small sentence of my book, The Spirit Body. It is a shock of the body, what the philosophers sometimes forget by dint of either referring himself to a phenomenon that is always ready to show itself, or by seeking too often that it can always signify. The a priori of manifestation in phenomenology, like that of interpretation in hermeneutics, has destroyed in a way the fright, l'effroi, of the exposed body, at least in that it is always believable to be received. Whilst to the contrary, and most often, it is but unassimilable matter that repels us. So, what can we say about, if we agree to say, so it is the end of hermeneutics or the end of phenomenology? I am always a phenomenologist, I'm okay with phenomenology. Phenomenology is a method, a very important one, okay. But I think that there are limits in phenomenology. I think, for example, that Deleuze, in his book on Bacon, saw some limits. And in my book, The Edifice of the Law, I explained that you have 3 limits in phenomenology. I'm working on that. I'm going to have a book about the limits of phenomenology. The first one is the hypertrophia of the flesh on the body. The second one is the hypertrophia of the meaning of sense on the chaos. And the third one is the hypertrophia, the hypertrophia of the weakness or passivity on the force of strength. Always passivity, the welcome of the other. But what about strength? Or struggle? Not struggle for life, but struggle in life. That is struggle in life. That is a sense of illness, malady. So, there is a question, because Jean-Luc Nancy said in The Intruder that the difficulty when you are speaking about transplantation of your heart is the fact that you can't say anymore that this organ is mine. I quote, "If my own heart was failing me, to what degree was it mine, my own organ? Was it even an organ?" And the response is, and it's very surprised, that the intruder, the heart, is no longer in me, but the intruder that I have become. And I think that, for me, I've never been transplanted, okay, but I said, okay, if something like that happened to me, I will have an organ of the other, and it will become mine. I can say it's my body, it's my organ, and now I can live. But what Jean-Luc said is exactly the inverse. You said, I became stranger of myself, completely stranger of myself, because I have an organ which is not mine. I quote, that the body names the stranger absolutely is an idea which proceeds to its successful conclusion. It is a sentence of the corpus, this book corpus. So, my supposition, my thesis, I think perhaps it's the same, but I don't know if you will say it like that. It is that we are all transplanted. We are. It's not the same if you have the experience of it, or if not. But just to say that the experience to have a relationship with our own body, which is not an own body, a subjective body, but an objective body, is a possible experience. And I wrote it in a text which is the resistance of the presence. And why? Because you have two different experiences. You have the experience, what about Merleau-Ponty is always speaking about, of the phantom limb, or the phantom member. And Merleau-Ponty explained, in the Philosophy of Perception, that I can feel a member that I don't have. But me, it is exactly what the inverse. It is, what does it mean if I don't feel a member that I have? For example, in an experience of a tumor, experience of anesthesia, it's not the same. Because in the first way, which is the Merleau-Pontian one, you feel a member that you don't have. It means that you have already, the first is your own body as a subject, but in the second one, you don't feel the organ that you have, and it is a strange object. I have time to read the text. Must one the strand of the same ask question? There is indeed, it's me, the beautiful illusion of phantom limb as an absent part of the body that we nevertheless feel in Merleau-Ponty. However, there is also the numbness or at least local anesthesia in that part of the body that we no longer feel. This is my perspective. The absence of the body felt as present. The phantom limb in Merleau-Ponty related to the almost body. I oppose myself the presence of the body experience as absent. The tumor, the anesthesied body experience totally foreign. One cannot satisfy oneself by always referring the strange body to the almost body, or the body to the flesh. Turn on its head, relating the flesh live to the body, Körper, or experiencing the almost body also as a strange body, what I try to do, to explain. In the functions of unassimilable and non-incorporeal, this is, in my opinion, the common experience, that's why it's not only the graph, the common experience of the sufferer and illness in insomniac and so on. So, for example, it should be possible to apply what Levinas said about insomnia. I became completely strange of myself, what you can say about the graph and what we can say about sometimes of our experience of body. And it's not because it is a psychiatric experience, schizophrenic, that it is not our own experience. And you have to read Maldinet to understand that point. So we cannot reduce the body, exactly what Jean-Luc said in Corpus. Corpus ego has no propriety, no ego-ness, still less any egotism, for ego-ness is still a signification. So, third point, after the first point, the matter of culture, and the introduction, why do we have to read today Jean-Luc Nancy? The second point, the stranger body or the foreign body, my body, the experience of my body as an object and not only as a subject. Third point, the out of sense. Behind the question of the body is hidden the question of signification, of the question of meaning. And in my way, in my opinion, we have to raise a question to Husserl. In his Cartesian meditation, paragraph 16. you have to know, you know probably, that many people of my generation, because I said that my generation, I think, is completely Merleau-Pontian. You can see Barbaras, Romano, we are all Merleau-Pontian, in fact. The generation of Jean-Luc Marion is Heideggerian. The generation before, Ricoeur, was Husserlian. And Jean-Luc is Jean-Luc, only A, that's good. And then, we are always speaking about the mute experience. And the mute experience, l'expérience muette, is an expression used by Husserl in the Cartesian meditation, but he had to utter its own sense with no adulteration. So, my question is, why do we have always to wait that the mute experience became to its own sense? Why are we always waiting for sense, for meaning? And Jean-Luc Nancy spoke especially about the body, about as-signifiance. I would prefer to take Jean-Luc hysteria as the body becoming totally parasitical as significance. At the outset, there is no signification, no translation or interpretation. There is this limit, the edge, this contour, this extremity, this outline of exposition. This alone can close and release space for interpretation. So I was so surprised to see in your text exactly what I'm looking for many years. It's the same. In fact, we find as-signifiance in Jean-Luc Nancy, outside in Blanchot, il y a in Levinas, chaos in Nietzsche, heterogeneous in Bataille, and me, I developed a thesis, which is published in French and in English, hors phénomène, the extra phenomenon. And what does that mean? The hors phénomène, you can read the text. It means that you have three possibilities in the interpretation of Kant. The radicalization of Kant, which is Heidegger, of course, finitude. The disproportion in Kant, which is Ricoeur, infallibility. And the inversion of Kant, which is the saturated phenomenon in Marion. But in fact, there is a fourth proposition in Kant, which is a synabre. I hope you know the synabre. The synabre, which is the color red. And Kant say, what could happen, and Deleuze saw that, what could happen if the synabre is no more red, but also black? What happens if the day is also the night, and so on? There is no possibility of the synthesis of sensation. So, we have to distinguish, and it is what I said, between the phenomenology of night and between the night of phenomenology. In that way, I'm close with the first Levinas or Blanchot, but not the last Levinas. And I think that Jean-Luc is, I think in a common way, which is not only the phenomenology of night, but the night of phenomenology. And what is the difference between the phenomenology of night and the night of phenomenology? It's a bit difficult. The phenomenology of night is the possibility of the impossibility of the phenomenon. What does it mean, the possibility of the impossibility of the phenomenon? It means that in the phenomenology of night, something happened. It is obscure, it is tragic, but it happened. It happened to you. It means that you are always alive enough to experience something. There is always an horizon to welcome what is happening, even if it is obscurity, tragedy. But the night of phenomenology is not the possibility of the impossibility of the phenomenon, but it is the impossibility of the possibility of phenomenon. And the difference between the possibility of the impossibility of the phenomenon and the impossibility of the possibility of the phenomenon is the fact that the horizon is completely destroyed. And it is Maldinet who showed that. And then Romano take it again. But it is coming first from Maldinet. And in that way, it is the end of the possibility of apparition. I quote my text, The Extra Phenomenon. To speak of the night of phenomenology is not to speak of the non-appearance in the possible horizon of appearing, when you suffer, When you suffer, you can suffer. But there is something worse than suffering, is the impossibility of suffering. But of the suppression of apparing itself. Apparing, alors in French, c'est la suppression de l'apparoir. Je trouve que l'apparoir, c'est un très beau 5 minutes in French, for people who are speaking in French. L'apparoir, c'est un très beau concept, parce que l'apparoir, c'est ce à partir de quoi les choses apparaissent. Et donc, la question n'est pas ce qui apparaît, mais la suppression de l'apparoir, c'est-à-dire l'impossibilité du transcendantal. So, the extra-phenomenal. So, then, now we know, first, that Christianity is a matter of culture. Second point, that my body can be strange or stranger for myself. And then, that the body is out of sense. The question is now to know what is the difference between the expanded body and the exposed body, between the two perspectives. So, expansion and exposition, which is the fourth title of my paper, you have 5. Nearly finished. So, not completely finished, huh? Because it's a big one. There are difference between the split body or expanded body and the exposed body. Many difference, I think. It's not so clear, but I think there is. First, because I'm always speaking about the description of the body, and Jean-Luc is always speaking about the act of writing the body. And to describe and to write is absolutely not the same, I think. And the second difference is the fact that, for me, there is a theological sense of the body, and I think that for Jean-Luc, it is a theological sense of the body. But is the atheological sense of the body a sort of detheologization? Perhaps. But what sort of theology is he speaking about when he is speaking about detheologization? So that is a question for me. What is the spirit body? You have a difference between the spirit body, which is spread out, s'épandre. When I was in US, in Boston, for a chair, first time I spoke about the spirit body. We just found the translation, and then I go in the market to my course. I said, spread butter. I said, oh my God, spread? So, spread body, what does it mean? It is a body which is sick on a bed. The body of someone who is sleeping, exactly what said my wife in her text, is speaking about Proust and Albertine, who is sleeping. Or it is perhaps the spread body, Christ on the cross, which is also as an animal, I explained, on the cross, but not only. So, operating table, hospital Brunson. And the exposed body, what is the exposed body? It's complicated. You spoke a lot, you didn't spoke a lot. Many people are speaking about you like that. That the exposed body is skin, of course. And the exposed peau, la peau, exposed body. Exposed body, because you write a chapter which is exposition. But in fact, in your books, you don't speak a lot about it. But I didn't find very, very often the term. You use it, but because many people wrote paper on you. Jean-Luc Nancy, the central concept is the exposition. Okay, but we don't find it so much in the books. We find in the title, and you speak about the skin. But it's not so easy to understand why it is the center of the interpretation, but I think it is. And the very interesting point in your text, in my opinion, is the fact that exposition, skin, is not exposition, manifestation. So, what does it mean, skin, when skin is not only manifestation, because it is also outside of phenomenology? I think it is a very interesting point. So, what is the spread body? The spread body, for me, is a concept I created after I've been in an hospital for chirurgical operation. I did first operation on anesthesia or on animals, on pigs. I was with friends, also with doctors, and I have to make anesthesia on a pig. It was at 6 o'clock at the morning, and the animalia, the woman said that it was impossible for me to put the pig, no? And she said, "What is it doing? It didn't do human being before." So you understand that, of course, you first began on human being, and when you are in medicine on your 6 year, 7 year, you try to do celioscopy. So I did celioscopy on pigs with friends, and we were laughing a lot, and then they died. And then I came to the hospital, and I did celioscopy on people. I remember there was a woman said, "Oh, doctor, I'm so happy, it's you, we are doing that." And then he put the anesthesia, and you became like an animal. It's finished. You are like an animal. 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 7 hours, you are like an animal. So, the spread body is first an extended body, as Descartes said. But it is not only an extended body, it is also a spread body, a lift body, because I see my body or the body of the other as a human. So my thesis is to say that we can't say that I have a human body. I'm not completely sure. And then when I came outside of the operation, I was in the street, I said, "Oh my God, I have a stomach, you have a stomach, I have a speak stomach, you have a speak stomach." And then I found this concept of the spread body. Between the extended body, corps étendu, and the lift body, corps vécu, sur les quatre, there is thus, by way of hypothesis, a third type of body, it is in the edifice of the land, which I call the spread body, corps étendu, a kind of border zone or intermediate body between the objective body and the subjective body. Extended, the body on the hospital bed is first of all as an animal or as an ever manipulable object. Lived, however, the same body is envisioned, visé, as human, surrounded by proper care in a shared world in search of sensible word. It's not sensible, I think, here. Between the two, or rather interbetween, what I have called the spread body emerged, extended in its materiality, and lived in its intentionality. For by dint of holding forth of the carnal live experience, vécu charnel of the patient, we have nevertheless forgotten their bodily mass. So, then the question is, when I'm reading Corpus, is that, as Jean-Luc said, the exposed body is a concept. And I think it is very important to say that, for me too, I think I didn't develop that enough, that the spread body is a concept, a manner of thinking, and not only an experience. And when Jean-Luc Nancy is speaking about the body, in fact, he tried to come back, I think, to the why, to the anguish of the body. There is an anguish of the body, but we constructed a representation of the body in the sentence, "This is my body," to not see my strange body or the anxiety of the body. That's why, said Jean-Luc, we invented the body in our culture. In that way, there is, in Jean-Luc Nancy's work, the written or the ascribed body against the constructed body. And when I wrote this paper, I thought that perhaps we can say that the body is, I never wrote it before, is out of term, hors term. What does that mean? In three senses, it is no a middle between two extremes. So it's not a mediation. And my spirit body is not only a mediation. So I have to think about that. Second point, hors terme, because the body is not a word of language capable of signifying, hors terme. Non, ce n'est pas un moyen terme, ce n'est pas un terme dont je peux parler. And third meaning, nor that wish will have an end of a goal as if one day we have an end. So it's not the end. So the body is hors terme. It means that it's not a middle, it's not really a word of language, and it's not for an achievement or for a term. In that way, I tried in my work to describe the body. And I was so surprised in palliative care that when les infirmières, or the femurs, the nurses, when the nurses were speaking about the night, they used some terrible words, but they did as if it was absolutely normal. And 2 weeks after, I came in the hospital, I took note, I said, so, what are you speaking about? Nausea, vomiting, anesthesia, salt, redness, headache, convulsion, pulmonary aspiration, ulcer, embedded tumor, swollen tongue, pus, infection, obstruction, secretion, and so on. And it's absolutely fantastic to see how the nurses are speaking about the body. And in fact, the nurses are, I don't know your experience, but the nurses are not in the constructed body. I think that the doctors are often in the constructed body, but they have to do it, because they have to give it. But I think that it's two different bodies. So, the question is, how is it possible on an hospital bed, for example, on the cross, to see a body of the other, or my body as an object? And it is exactly what I found in Descartes. I wrote a text which is Le fou désincarné, the madness disincarnated. It is a discussion which is between Foucault and Derrida. Yes. Because when Foucault and Derrida are speaking together, they are always speaking about the question of rationality. So one is saying that it is absolutely not rationality, and the other one, it is rationality. Okay, we know the debate. But in fact, in this same text, what Descartes said, he said, is it possible that my hands are not mine and that my body is not mine? Est-il possible que ces mains ne soient pas les miennes et que ce corps ne soit pas le mien? And he said, I would be completely mad if I thought that. So, the question of Descartes is not only a question of rationality. It is not only a question of logos, of a reason. Okay, the debate was good, it's finished. But it is a question of incarnation. What does that mean to see my body as if it was not mine? That's why Descartes spoke at the end of the text about la cruche, comment on dit la cruche?
Sorry. Anyone else? Picture.
Un pot vide. Vous connaissez ça, mais la cruche, je ne sais pas comment on dit la cruche en anglais. Bon, it doesn't matter. Okay. So, I finished. So now I'm going to the exposed body. What is the exposed body? It is an address to my body from my body, said Jean-Luc Nancy. Or rather, the writing I is being sent from bodies to bodies. I don't know if it means that you are writing from your body or writing on the body, but there is a question of the trace of the body. I continue, writing remains a deceptive word. Anything so addressed to the body outside is ascribed. As I try to write it, right alongside this outside or as this outside. So, what is the body, I think, for Jean-Luc in his work? It is not exactly what I call spread body, which is on the ski and on the bed, but I think that it is a written body, incised, engraved, tattooed, scared. And when Jean-Luc Nancy is speaking about the body, he is always speaking about the word of the skin. I quote, where is it? By the mouth of the word of the skin. So it is an exposition coming to us. I read my text. Coming to us in the body that I describes itself is not exposition in the sense of what is manifested, But the showing of skin, the exposition, is a sense of being traumatised, marqué à vif, and the market of life, marqué à vif. Bon, moi j'ai dit l'exposition du corps, c'est un corps marqué à vif, marqué à vie. I do not leave my skin just like I will never leave my flesh, but I see my skin from outside. So, the body for you, it seems to me, is a text. We can speak about the text of the body. And we speak it about in theology too, but it's not the same sense. But not because it is a text which makes sense, but because it traces and subsists in its trace. And then, what is the description of the body in corpus? Eh bien, it is flesh, skin, face, muscle, and so on. Then, we have to try, or I have to try, to find a new concept of body. How to speak about the spirit body? Oh, in fact, I'm so astonished to see that we do not use the current term of flesh in French, la chair. The only one who did that, c'est Deleuze. Spoke about the meat, so la chair. But in French, you can speak not only about la chair, but about les chairs. And this book said, okay, we have to come back to the normal sense of flesh, which is caro in Latin, Fleisch in German, Flesh in English. But in phenomenology, we learned by who? By Merleau-Ponty and Ricoeur, that when you are speaking about flesh, it's not flesh. But what is it? Flesh is not flesh. Flesh is lived body. But if you are reading the Levinas translation of the paragraph 43 of the Cartesian meditation, he translated Leib by organic body. And when I was student, I said flesh, because he made a mistake. Oh, you can say that. But in fact, in 1930, just after the Cartesian meditation in 1929, we always translated in French Leib by corps, body, or organic body, because when you say Nietzsche, for example, Der Leib Philosophie, you translate in French le corps philosophe, non la chair. So, why are we speaking about flesh today in phenomenology? Because of what Ricoeur said in his text about Husserl for reading the fifth Cartesian meditation à l'école de la philologie, he said, well, I think that the best translation for life, it is flesh. And it is exactly what Merleau-Ponty did. So it means that because of Merleau-Ponty, because or thanks, I don't know, of Merleau-Ponty and Ricoeur, now, when we are speaking about flesh, it's not flesh. And I think that Jean Norcy wants to come back also to the question of the flesh itself. And in French, you can speak about not the flesh, but the fleshes, les chairs, the bodily tissues. You can speak about the fleshes, for example, in medicine, les chairs. You can speak about the flesh or the fleshes in the cooking. Raffermir les chairs, pour faire un bon plat, les chairs. Or you can speak about the fleshes, about the cannon fodder, les chairs à canon. So it means that perhaps we could come back to this concept, which is not exactly the same as the Deleuzian one, which is meat. But I could explain that. So, then, to finish on that point, I just want to say that there are two merits, in my eyes, of the Nancy's approach of the exposed body, which is not an exposed body, which is not manifestation. First, he showed that it is a question of culture and that there is a constructed body. And perhaps, but I don't know if you agree with that, it seems to me, or perhaps it's me who is saying, but that you are against the precedence of the world life in phenomenology. We are always speaking about the pre-reflexive, the pre-linguistic, and so on. And when you are always speaking about the pre, you are waiting for something else. So you are always in significance. And that is very important. The second point is the fact that, you said in Corpus, that exposition doesn't signify intimacy that is extracted from withdrawal. In this case, body will be an exposition of the self in the sense of translation and interpretation. In fact, for you, I think, the exposed body is the body which is there. But it is another sense of Dasein, exactly what I said. Because when someone is completely sick in an hospital, you are a Dasein, perhaps, but you are only there. But you are not open, you are there. So we have to understand that what you say, I like it, exposition here is the very being, existing, what the being is a subject as for its essence, self-oppositing, how to ex-body. The body is the being exposed of being. So, then, I arrive to the last question, 5 minutes more?
Definitely,
okay?
Sure.
Good. The last question is, okay, so now, how can we interpret the sentence, this is my body, hoc est corpus meum? And in your book, you explain that the important point is not, in fact, the body, corpus, is not, in fact, my body, corpus meum, but this is, hoc est. And I think that I showed you the interpretation of this is my body is the fact that it is a sort of objectivation of the body. In that way, the exposed body with skin is absolutely not the caress in Levinas or the skin ego in Anzieux. I think it should be very interesting, perhaps many people read, and someone did it, to compare the exposed body in Nancy with the question of the caress in Levinas, the touching in Merleau-Ponty, and the skin ego, le moi-peau in Anzieux. I think that here you have a sort of very interesting framework about the question of exposition. But I think that the work of Nancy is completely different of that, except the fact that in Levinas, the question of caress is also a question of assignificance. I don't know what the caress is looking for, but the caress is always looking for something, which is not what I said. So, this is my body. Here is now my question. Should we then end with the this is my body, hoc est corpus meum? So, is it finished? Corpus, je le dis en français, corpus est l'enterrement définitif de ceci est mon corps. Hein? Comment on dit l'enterrement définitif? The definitive enterré?
Fair enough, yes.
Of this is my body. For me, it's complicated, of course, because I'm thinking that I'm doing an experience if I go to the Eucharist and if in the church someone is saying, this is my body. So for me, it's not possible to say it's finished. But in Nancy, as in my work, there is something else. And I think that you're looking for a new sense of the body. I called it about like Zarathustra. In fact, in Zarathustra, Nietzsche tried to find something else. There is a sense of body, but another one. And Jean-Luc Nancy, so now we have to confront not only corpus and ethics of the spirit body, but to confront the deconstruction of Christianity and the wedding feast of the Lamb. Because here is the point where you have a complete confrontation about Christianity. Perhaps I have to pass by the deconstruction, but the aim is different. And in my The Wedding Feast of the Lamb, so I have a chapter, which is the fifth one. This is my body. I'm speaking about transubstantiation, incorporation, institution, and in all the book of Jean-Luc, it is always theological words. Many theological words, more than Merleau-Ponty, I think. And it's very interesting because you know the words, that is first. you know the theological sense of the words. More than Merleau-Ponty. Merleau-Ponty just feel, but you know. And that's why your objection is always a good one, because you know what you're speaking about. And that is very rare. And that's why I think that Christian people have to read Jean-Luc Nancy, because it is a discussion on the things themselves. So, what Jean-Luc is saying that this is my body, hoc est corpus mei, is a representative thinking or the sort of representation of the West. So it is something. Then I quote him, hoc est enim, challenged allays all our doubts about appearance, conferring on the real the true final touch of its pure idea, its reality, its existence. So we invented the body of that God, or the absolute, if you prefer. God too, the body of that God is that. Okay. Or that as a body. Or that is a body. And so we might think that is the body absolutely constitutes the essence of Christianity, of the West. This is my body. I quote just a sentence of my text. We can thus say that the opening of corpus is harsh. You understand? Harsh. It is indeed the least we can say about it for those who believe it or believe it still. This is my body, it is an object, it is objectivation, it is all the West. In fact, it is the essence of the technique in Heidegger. I say I'm not sure that I can continue to eat a body, or what does it mean to eat a body. But, in fact, when we are reading very precisely what Jean-Luc Nancy said about transubstantiation, we can see, and it seems to me that you criticize transubstantiation, but you have a bracket to say, I am criticizing transubstantiation, not perhaps, it is my suggestion, all the transubstantiation, but what the tradition did with the transubstantiation, not in theology, because I think that transubstantiation is absolutely not the reification of josification in Thomas Aquinas, for example, because the act of being and not the being itself. But I think that after, in the tradition, there is a sort of reification of the body. I quote, what is coming now that the word of bodies comes is not at all what a weak discourse about appearance and spectacle would have us presume, a world of appearance, simulacra and phantasm, lacking flesh and presence. This kind of weak discourse, the faible discourse, is only a Christian discourse. So, a presence without presence. This is my body. And you know that in Christianity you are always speaking about the real presence. On transubstantiation, it is only a Christian discourse on transubstantiation, and then 3 words more, but a hollowed out substance, and in brackets, and also Christianity no doubt. That is very interesting. I read my text. The reference is nevertheless important enough to encourage emphasis. Jean-Luc Nancy is criticizing not so much the transubstantiation as such, not even the this is my body as such, as he is criticizing the effects they have produced in culture and the way in which simulacrum of the body or flesh without present, the body which is represented. Corpus emphasizes is not the transubstantiation, but, he said, the transubstantiation lacking substance and also Christianity, the doute. So what is a transubstantiation which is lacking substance and lacking Christianity? In that way, there is a sense of transubstantiation with Christianity, which is not the sense of transubstantiation in the tradition. And that is the very next point for me. And then, it is exactly what I try to show in the Wedding Feast of the Lamb. Because in the Wedding Feast of the Lamb, I never said that we're going to destroy the concept of transubstantiation, and you never said it, transubstantiation and so on, you never said it. You keep this concept. It's not an explosion of the concept, I think, but you have to think, what does it mean? You have to know that Merleau-Ponty used also the term of transubstantiation when speaking about Cézanne. So, what does it mean? A transubstantiation which is not emptied, vide, of body. In my way, it is a sort of transfusion of body. Perhaps the Eucharist experience is an experience of the intrude. Something you understand. The transplantation of the body. I wrote that in my book before speaking about you. Not because of you. But perhaps it is a wondrous enchant of the body, who's speaking Irenaeus, transubstantiating the body. I quote the Wedding Feast of the Lamb. The bread, le pain, is consecrated bread, his body branched in 2 hours, branché, so that we become one body. The wine is consecrated, his blood flowing in our veins. To be nourished with his body can and should be understood, I said, before reading your text, but I read the text, perhaps it's coming, but I didn't quote, as a kind of organic transplant. A sharing of powers, the body, by which I live through his true corporal power, in the way of a community of life, even a transfusion of blood. So I spoke about transubstantiation in the Eucharist as transplantation of an organic member and as transfusion of blood. It is no longer I who live, but it is Christ who lives in me. And if I say this about her, you understand something? It's not me, Galate de 20, it is not me I longer live, but it is Christ who lives in me. It can be a sort of great experience in Christianity too. So, I conclude. I just want to conclude that, in fact, the link made by Jean-Luc Nancy between the Christianity as a cultural matter and the body as the cultural sentence which founded the West is a point where we can discuss about atheism and Christianity too. It means that on the 2 ways, someone who is atheist has to know that Christianity is in the culture, which is exactly what Jean-Luc Nancy did, and someone who is a Christian has to read Jean-Luc Nancy to ask to himself, what does it mean when I'm saying this is my body? Or when I say that I experience, this is my body. In that way, I think that if we have more time, but I did it in my book, The Different John, perhaps we could come back to the question that the King Charles the Bald, Charles le Chauve, in the Carolingian time asked. And the question is, in my book, it is The Quarrel of the Meat, la querelle de la viande. I quote the question of Charles de Balde in the 19th century. What the most of the faithful receives? Is it figurative in figura or real in re? And from this question, which is a Carologien one, there was a very, very big debate in Middle Age, which opposed on one way Passagius Radbertus, Pachas Radbert, and Lanfranc, which is realism, and Ratram and Béranger de Tours, which is symbolism. But Béranger de Tours has been condemned as an heretic. I'm living in Tours. I hope I'm not too heretic, but he's a priori 5 ans. So, then the question is, how is it possible to think what is transubstantiation today if we have to develop a sense in Christianity too or in culture? My suggestion in the reading Feast of the Lamb is to think transubstantiation from the concept of force or from the concept of strength. It means that when Leibniz is speaking about substance, you know that the substance for Leibniz, it is a force, it is a strength. And we don't have to say that a body has got a force, but that a force is looking for a body. It is true for love. We are not bodies, we are looking for force. But we are force of loving and we are trying to find bodies. So, all the bodies are incarnation of force, exactly as Nietzsche said. In that way, transubstantiation, what is it? It is the act by which a force is looking for a body. As, in fact, the substance as act of being in Thomas Aquinas, as the agitating force in Leibniz, as in the substantial link in Maurice Blondel, in fact. In that way, we don't have to say that the body makes love, but that the love makes body. C'est pas l'amour, le corps qui fait l'amour, mais l'amour qui fait le corps. And it is exactly the same if you are going to the Mass because of a conviction or because you are going to a cultural event. It is a cultural event. When the priest is saying, is praying for the Holy Spirit is coming to change the bread in the body and the wine in the blood, the Holy Spirit is what? It is the force. The force of the Holy Spirit try to find the body. That's why the body which is on the hostel is the incarnation of the love. It's not a thing. I conclude. This is my body, hoc est corpus meum, has it not indeed lost its cultural consistency by dint of being represented? Of course, I try to find a sense myself. It is true obsession is that of always finding as this hoc in order to presentify the absent, I quote, and to avoid sinking into an anxiety without end. Would it not be the case that the body, within Christianity itself, allowed itself to be reified? Should not force be thought of as body, and not merely the body as force, substance as act of being, Aquinas, or rather as agitating force, Leibniz, or substantial link, Blondel? Does it not say more than objectivation and representation as well? Such is the path I have thought to go down in a time of a deconstructed Christianity. Of course, I agree with that. But of which the disenclosure will consist less in searching another form of corporality outside of the tradition, it's not my way, than in articulating it at the heart of the latter as a this is my body, less represented than actually experienced. We should say, to conclude with Jean-Luc Nancy, I quote, that the body is neither substance, phenomenon, flesh, nor signification, just being ascribed. Thanks.